perfectionist, and so that's hard with kids.
There's definitely days when I have my doubts about my abilities.
Struggle with my temper.
I struggle with how I react with situations.
I wish I knew how to, I guess, just calm myself before speaking to them.
I wish I was better at taking time to sit down and just listen more to my child.
I wish I was more confident in being a mom.
I'm not the most patient person in the world.
Patience. Patience is far and away probably the biggest struggle.
I just want them to know just how much I love them.
My mom is totally awesome. She's fun to snuggle with. Pretty, funny. She does cook a lot of food for me. She's just unique. That's why I love her so much. We go on dates together. We go shopping.
She loves me a lot.
I have a lot of favorite things about my mom. We like to watch movies together and color and stuff.
We go to church together, we volunteer together.
She is like my heart, I guess you could say, because she's that close to me.
My favorite thing is to jump on the trampoline with my mom. That's my most favorite thing, to go up high. We get ice cream or something and you go to the nail salon and have fun. My mommy's my hero. She's pretty and beautiful.
She is my hero.
She just will care about me and just always love me forever. She's the best.
That's so awesome.
I always seem to focus mostly on the negative, and I guess I can walk out here and say that I'm doing something great and that my child is viewing me in totally different lenses as I view myself. So that's inspiring.
This is my calling. This is my job. This is what I love to do, and I will do it better and with love each and every day, because those kids count on me and they love me for what I'm doing.
Well, good morning. And to the mothers, happy Mother's Day. You are welcome, and we wanted to welcome you here to Kensington Church. If you're a brand new visitor, certainly you are honored. Oh, here you go. Certainly you're an honored guest. My name is Chris Zarbaugh. I'm the lead pastor here at Kensington's Clinton Township campus, and we want to certainly welcome you here today. First of all, we want to acknowledge the fact that mothers, on Mother's Day, today can be a heavy day for some people. It's not always celebratory. There are moms who strive to be moms. They can't be moms. Many of you have experienced the loss of a mom, and honestly, there's a lot of people that actually avoid coming to church on this day because it is a very difficult day. So we want to acknowledge that. But at the same time, we have a room full of people filled with moms that we want to celebrate and to honor today as well. So we would love to, as people are still coming in, we would love to do this. If you are a mom or an expectant mom, I would love for you to stand up and for us to cheer really loudly for you. Do me a favor, stand up so we can recognize you and celebrate you today. Come on, like you mean it, guys and ladies. Awesome. Thank you so much. And if you're walking in late, that was for you, moms. We want to give away a couple Panera gift cards just for fun. So here's what we're going to do, something a little different in every service. For this service, here's what I want to do. I want to give this Panera gift card to a mom with the most kids under the age of 10, okay, just because you need it the most. And also, just to say, if there's a tiebreaker, it'll be whose birthday is closest to today. So if you have at least 3 children under the age of 10 right now, do me a favor, stand up. Stand up all throughout the auditorium. Come on. So we have not too many. Okay, stay standing if you have 4 children under the age of 10. Stay standing if you have 4 children under the age of 10, okay? All right, stay standing if you have at least 5 children under the age of 10. So is there anybody standing at 5? It's really hard for me to see. All right, so we're down to 4, right? Okay, so the 4, go ahead and stand back up for 4, okay? 4. What are your birthdays? Just whatever, your date. No, I'm sorry, your birthday. Yeah, I was wondering why you were so confused. It's because I probably did not say it clearly. It's my bad. So what is your birthday? October. What's yours? Wasn't there somebody here that was 4? Oh, 3, okay. Is there anybody else who's 4 who has to beat this? Over here, okay. And when is your birthday? Okay, December, so yours is closer in terms of like to today, right? October, not year-wise, right, but to today. So, okay, it looks like we have a winner. So Jordan, if you would, go ahead and run this over to her. And then we have a second Panera card. So we thought we would do something different. How about somebody in here, you have the most grandchildren, okay? So, and how about we just raise your hands for this one, all right? You raise your hand if you have at least 8 grandchildren. Is there anybody in here with at least 8 grandchildren? You're a mom who is also a grandma, okay? Keep your hand raised if you have at least 10 grandchildren. 10. So we have at least 1 back here. Anybody else have 10? Over here, okay. Keep your hand raised if you have 11. 11, so this one goes down. We have 11. Is there anybody else besides the one in the back? Over here, so we got 2. Okay, how many do you have? I'm sorry, what was that? 17 grandchildren? Wow. And how many do you have in the back? 12, okay. Very impressive still. Anybody in the auditorium that could beat 17 grandchildren? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. How many? 20 grandchildren. Is there anybody in this room that could beat 20? Don't lie now, you're in church. It's only a Panera gift card. How many? 22, all right. Do we have a winner? Is there going to be a crowd of people that debuckle that? Okay, do me a favor, give her a huge round of applause, Jordan. 22 grandchildren. Wow, that's wonderful. So certainly the most challenging job and most rewarding job that exists in this room, maybe. Okay, so very good. Hey, listen, I would love to remind all of us of a few announcements before we jump into our day. And here's the first one. The first one is that this upcoming weekend, we have an event that we've been promoting for months just for women called Smash. So if you are looking to still give a last-minute Mother's Day gift, you can go online today and register them. It's a Spring Hill camp up north. It's got all the amenities. It's wonderful. Time to relax, time to connect with about 7 to, I think maybe the registration is up to 800 or 900 women, something around there. It's going to be a wonderful time. You get to know people from our campus and our community. Take a friend, sign up, and go, and you can find out how to do that online. And then also, I want to remind everybody that this upcoming Wednesday is our midweek service. We have dedicated ourselves to do midweek once a month. We took a break last month because of Easter. And then this month is our midweek. It's the 3rd Wednesday of the month. I'll be speaking. Aaron and others will be doing some worship. It's going to be a great time, a great deep dive into one of our core values. And I'd love for you to be here. If you've never tried a Wednesday night, I would love for you to show up. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, be here. And then finally, we have one more thing that we want to draw your attention to, and that is this next video, something we have been doing for years, and we're super excited about. So take a minute and watch this.
Hey Kensington community, it's Heather here with Hope Water Project. We are so excited to announce that this year is our 5th annual Hope Water Project 5K event. What a great opportunity for a community of people on mission to come together to provide clean water to our brothers and sisters in Kenya. This event is for all ages, all athletic abilities, we invite all of you to join us. You know, last year, with our 500 registered participants, our numerous corporate sponsors, and our awesome fundraising community, we raised enough money to build 2 wells in Kenya. That is clean water for up to 4,000 people. And that clean water helps to restore health, provide education, and a future for our friends. So, grab your sneakers, grab your family, invite your neighbors, invite everyone. We would love to see an even bigger event this year, providing more opportunity to bring clean water to our friends in Western Kenya.
Very good. So if you've ever been to Africa on a missions trip, to Kenya on a Kensington missions trip, and you've seen one of these wells, I've been there and I've seen the impact and the thousands of people that walk miles and miles just to gather around. A well doesn't just mean clean water. Honestly, community builds around it. Then schools pop up, and then churches pop up, and it becomes this thriving community in all aspects of life. All because we take the time to run and to raise money for wells. And by the way, each well costs over 20 grand or so because of how deep we have to dig. So Kensington owns its own rig. In fact, we might own 2 rigs. I'm not sure about that, but it's wonderful to watch and see. And so we would love for you to get connected, whether it's donating, running, or just showing up and being a cheerleader for the run, okay? Well, listen, it's my job to focus the day, and I'm here to tell you that I'm thankful to be back. I was gone on Florida, hence the George Hamilton look that I have. But actually, believe it or not, you're going to have the privilege of hearing the message today given by my wife, Liz Zarbaugh, also along with our production manager, Shauna, who's kind of leading the charge, and then also Tracy Hinkle, our very own discipleship director, and also with Eva Gomez, who used to work on our K-Kids. And you're going to absolutely love their stories and how they all have different aspects. Now, today is we're wrapping up the series called The Heart Matters, and today we're talking about surrendering of the heart. Now, I just want to challenge everybody in here who's not a mom that God calls us to surrender in every area of our lives. God calls us to surrender all sorts of things, even down to our pride and our ability to be right and doing things our way versus God's way, and our finances and our plans and everything else. But today we're going to be looking at it through the lens of motherhood. And so it's going to be an incredibly powerful topic today. I would love for you, as we begin, to take a minute and stand up, find a mom, and wish them Happy Mother's Day right now.
Here's to you, you were pink or blue, and everything I wanted. Here's to you, never sleeping through midnight till the morning. Had to crawl before you walked, before you ran, before I knew it. You were trying to free your fingers from my hand, 'cause you could do it on your own now. Somehow, slow down, won't you stay here a minute Here's to you, every missing tooth, every bedtime story. Here's to Bobby cars, lightsaber wars, sleeping in on Sundays. Had to crawl before you walked, before you ran, before I knew it. You were teaching me the only thing love can. Hold hands through it when it's scary. You got me. Let's slow down. Won't you stay here a minute more? I know you wanna walk through the door, but it's all too fast. Let's make it last a little while. I pointed to the sky, and now you wanna fly. I am your biggest fan. I hope you know I am. But do you think you can somehow slow down? And please don't roll your eyes at me. I know I'm embarrassing, but someday you'll understand. You'll hold the little hand, ask them if they can. No, but it's all too fast. I am your biggest fan. I hope you know I am. But do you think you can somehow slow down? Slow down.
Really fast. 1 minute, they're a little newborn. They're off to school, and before you know it, they're an adult. The saying that the days are long, but the years are short is so true. Any parent can agree with that. And we live in a life that goes at such a fast pace. We're always looking ahead to what's next, right? The next milestone, especially as a parent, right? When they are a newborn, you are so excited when they will sleep through the night, right? Like, wow. And then when they can finally be potty trained. Gosh, and then they go off to school, and then you're excited about the day when they can actually get their license and they can drive themselves to soccer practice. But yet we live in this tension, and at the same time that we're always kind of looking back, right? Saying, okay, time, just slow down just a little. I just want to live back in this moment just a little longer. Just to hold them. They'd fall asleep back in your arms again. And I think whether you're a parent or not, we live in that wrestle of, well, then how do we be looking ahead but yet live in the moment and not just want what's in the past? And so today we're going to be looking at how we can live like that through the lens of surrendering. And we're going to do that through the journey of motherhood on this Mother's Day. And so I'm going to invite some mom friends to come out and join me at this time. And also at this time, if there are some seats available in your rows, if you guys could scrunch in a little, we do have some people still coming in, so we'd like to make sure that they get a seat. And also we're going to invite the ushers to come on down as we are going to take the offering at this time. And if you're new here, this is your first time, this moment is not for you, so just let it pass on by. But for those that call Kensington home, we have multiple ways for you to be able to give back and worship through your giving. You can give in the pouches, or as you can see on the screens here, you can text to give, you can give through our app, or you can go online to our website and give that way as well. And we just want to say thank you. Thank you for being on mission with us as you in your giving. And so my name is Shauna Schwaniger. I am a mom. I have 2 boys. They are ages 9 and 11, and I have been married for 17 and a half years, and I'd love to just introduce my friends here. So you guys.
I'm Tracy Henkel, and I've only been married 7 years, but it's because I'm in a blended family. So we have 5 kids all together. 3 of them are mine, and 2 of them are my bonus kids, and they're between 23 and 29. And I have one on the way. A grandbaby on the way.
Let's clarify.
Let me clarify that.
Yes, the rumors.
In just a few weeks, 4, I hope.
That's awesome.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
My name is Liz Zarba. I have 3 kids. I have a 25-year-old daughter, a 20-year-old son, and a 19-year-old daughter. And I have been married for 26 years.
My name is Eva Gomez. I am divorced, but Tracy wants me to make sure I say I'm single. I have 3 amazing sons. One is 19, 16, and 10.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you, ladies, for being here with us and sharing with us today. And as we talk about surrendering, and what does that look like? Like, what does that even mean? And first off, surrendering is not something that's an apathetic thing. It's not just like, whatever. But actually, to surrender is a more engaged way of living. It's more focused. And we're going to be looking at a story from the Old Testament. And the character's name is Hannah. And Hannah was married. She was very loved by her husband. And the biggest dream of her life was to be able to have a child. That was it, right? That was her heart's desire. But she couldn't. For many, many years, that dream just kept being a dream. It was not a reality to her. And so that really left her in a place of brokenness, right? If you've ever had a dream that you've wanted, like you could taste it in your mouth, but it didn't come true for whatever reason, no matter how much you maneuvered and tried to work it out, it wouldn't come true. That's kind of like where Hannah was. But on top of that, her husband also had another wife. Now, that's a whole other subject. I'm not even going to go into that. That's for Chris Zarba to deal with, okay? Here's this other wife, and she had children from her husband. So just picture the thing that you want most in life that you can't seem to get no matter how hard you try, but yet basically the woman upstairs had your dream. And then she made fun of her, right? Has someone ever made fun of you or just ridiculed you for something, even for your dream? And so she felt very less than, especially in the culture at the time when women having children was very much their worth. Now, ladies, that is not where we get our worth from. That comes from Christ. But this left Hannah in a very broken state, very desperate, right? Because this went on for years. And if you've ever had something that you want that's deeply in your heart and it doesn't happen, it leaves you, in a way, shattered. And I think as we have some moms here today, we're going to be sharing that. But I would love to just hear from you guys, just some times in your life where you felt broken. You felt desperate.
Want me to start? Okay, I'm going to start. It's all the time. It's pretty much all the time, every day, sometimes hourly, and I think that's how it is for most of us. Really, really, truly. It's just all the time. For me, we have been dealing with some health crisis over the past many years, actually, with 2 of my 3 children. And so dealing with the ins and outs of that on top of me having a health issue on top of it. So just constantly feeling like I was spiraling and not finding an answer and just desperate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it starts in middle school. When they hit middle school, it all changes. Up until then, I think I really felt like I did a good job as a parent, and my children looked the way I wanted them to look, and they act the way I wanted them to look, and I thought I was falsely in control of them. And then middle school came, and really everything changed, and I realized that I don't have any control of them, although I still kept trying. I think that for me, the most desperate moment is when you have a diagnosis that, like my daughter has had, or there's been some addiction challenges in our family, and you just, you can't control their decisions, and you've got to rely on God for that. That's a time when I feel really, really desperate and really needing something, and that's always been God,
Yeah.
And like for me, one of my broken moments was my marriage. It was very abusive, and that's actually what led me to Kensington. And with that, as a mom, you're supposed to protect your children. And for me, I didn't feel like I protected my sons from that environment. And I felt like I failed. You know, I felt like here I'm supposed to create this safe haven. I'm protecting them from everything. I know what I'm supposed to do. And then I opened the door and I just let it walk all right in. And so it was such a hard moment. But, you know, coming to Kensington is what helped me process and know that God's there for me. But as a mom, it's like I felt like I failed them, you know, and we're still dealing with some of the repercussions of it, you know, and it shows up in different ways. It shows up in my youngest son as an anxiety, you know, so that's a challenge in and of itself. So motherhood.
I can really relate to that, Eva, too, being in a blended family. Like you said, I brought that into the family. Well, our decisions resulted in a change for my children. And I have to see the repercussions of that sometimes, and it wasn't easy at first, and there were a lot of challenges just really at the beginning, not so much now because they're adults, but I think, you know, you want to welcome your blended family in. I like my daughter Megan came, and she brought 2 cats with her. I didn't welcome them as much as I welcomed Megan.
I didn't like you anyway.
I didn't. They did not. They do things. They're
evil.
Pee on things and do things all over. And, you know, that really stressed out. You know, like sometimes you're surrendering your parenting, and sometimes you're surrendering your control in that way, especially in a blended family. Like, I got to honor that this is my husband's daughter. I love her, and I'm not crazy about her cats, but we have to work through this. Yeah. I mean, and God really did provide the timing of it and everything, and new carpeting, so it all worked out. I mean, it was great.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, most of us in this room have probably felt desperate at one point or another, or broken, whether it be because of a relationship, a situation. I know as a mom, one of the times that I really felt desperate was I always had the dream of 3 kids, right? That was the dream. I can even remember when, after my second was born, I was like, yep, I can see myself giving birth to the 3rd. Like, it was there. And it never happened. No matter what. And I prayed, and then I would feel guilty because I had 2 amazing kids. So am I being selfish, right? And it just was a spiral. I think a lot of moms, we feel that spiral. Like one thing, then it goes to something else. And we just keep going around and around as mothers. And it left me to a point where most nights I would just weep as I went to sleep because it was this dream, right? I pictured my life this way, and it wasn't going that way. And I could feel it in my heart, but yet it was empty there. And so we see Hannah. She's in this point of her life where she is just desperate. She's kind of hit rock bottom, where she feels like there is no hope. And so every year, her and her family would go to the tabernacle to worship, to pray, to sacrifice. And so we're going to pick up her story, and she's there, and she's praying. And this is the prayer that she prays. It's found in 1 Samuel 1:10-11, and it says, "In her deep anguish, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterly. And she made a vow, saying, 'Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and remember me and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head.'" So she prays this absolute desperate prayer. And in the prayer, she's begging God for a child. And then she says, if you give me this child, I will give him back to you. Now, what does that mean? Like, here, God, take him? Like, how do you give him back? For her, that meant she was going to give him back to serve the Lord. So he was going to go then live in the tabernacle and basically live his life there and work in the tabernacle with the priests. That was the intent there. But when you think about that, that's kind of a crazy thing. It's trying to make a deal with God, right? You're promising, like, if you do this, God, then I will do this. I mean, I think we've all probably had some of those prayers, right? Yeah, you know, like, if you will just take the pain away, God, then I will do this. If you will give me the promotion, God, I will tithe 10, no, God, I will tithe 11% of my salary, right? Like, we make him a deal because we feel like then maybe he knows we're serious about this, right? That deal. But what if in that desperate prayer, he actually answered it? Would we fulfill our end of the bargain? Would we go, okay, God, I promise this? And so here's Hannah. She's there. She is absolutely desperate. And so she's praying almost kind of erratic, right? So there's the priest at the tabernacle, and he sees her praying, and he actually thinks she's drunk, right? Like that's how she's just like literally in the depths of despair kind of prayer, all right? So he comes over to her, and he doesn't go, oh, what's going on? How can I help you? What can we talk this through? He's just like, can I pray for you? And then he literally just prays for her. He has no idea what he's praying for. So he's just kind of like, okay, God, whatever she's praying about, make it happen. That's literally the kind of prayer, right?
She made it easy.
Really easy.
Prayer.
Yes, it's a kind of a cop-out prayer, right? Probably didn't even ask her name. Who knows, right? So she gets this prayer, and we fast forward. Awesome news, guys. Hannah becomes pregnant. She has a child. She names him Samuel. Samuel means God listens, which is really cool. She connected all these dots, right? There's meaning there. If you go further into the story, Samuel is the one who anoints the future king of King David when he is a boy. So it's this amazing thing. But she made this desperate prayer with this vow, right? What's going to happen with that? Now, a couple years into this, Samuel's about 3 years old. It's about that time to go back to the tabernacle. But before, just picture what a 3-year-old is like. Parents in the room, I know you're like, oh, I remember the 3-year-old. You might be in it right now.
She just made it through the terrible twos.
She just made it, yeah. Barely.
She's going to give them up.
I actually think it's really the terrible 3s, if I'm honest. My kids, the 2s were nothing, but 3, hang on, okay? Right? But I mean, they're still really sweet, but they're just energy, right? Oh my goodness. And he's calling her mama, right? He's saying, Ma. And his other favorite word is probably no, okay? Right? But when he's scared or if he's hurt, he's running to Hannah, right? Like that's his security. That's his safe place. They sing songs. They probably do the silly stuff. They're working on their ABCs and numbers. And I can just picture Hannah as she's like going throughout her day, you know, whether she's sweeping or stuff. He's kind of at her feet, right? Constantly there, kind of in the way, but yet you're still kind of like, oh, that's her son. That's her little person, right? It's like, it's your heart beating outside of your chest in another human being. The bond is huge, right? Like, so when we think about this idea of the sacrifice that she went actually give him up, the magnitude of that choice is really, it's hard for my mind to think about that when I think about my own children, right? She would surrender the thing that she prayed so desperately to have. She prayed, God, give me a child, and if you do, I will give him back to you. It's kind of a crazy prayer when you think about it. Like, why did you even pray that, Hannah? But what we get to see is the most beautiful picture of surrendering. And we pick up her story in this verse that probably many of you have heard. You've probably maybe received it on a card if you're a parent, or maybe it's on a wall in your house. Or if you've ever walked through Hobby Lobby, ladies, you've probably seen it there, okay? But the magnitude of what this verse is saying is huge when you know the backstory. We pick it up in 1 Samuel 1:27. It says, I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. We see that lots when people have a baby or congratulating them. But then it goes on to say, so now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life, he will be given over to the Lord. And she worshiped the Lord there. So in that moment, as Samuel is a 3-year-old, they went back to the tabernacle to go worship. She chose to say, I will fulfill this vow that I made to you, God. And I give him to you. I give him to you to serve you in what was the house of the Lord, the tabernacle with the priest for the rest of his life. See, that was not a disconnected moment. That was not an apathetic decision. Hannah was engaged and she was focused and she was trusting God. She was believing that God had a better plan than she could have ever dreamed or imagined. So many times we picture what our life is going to be like, and we have dreams, we have wants, we have goals, and they're all great things. But to think that it could be different sometimes is a challenge. And here's Hannah, this incredible picture where she said, you know what, God, I believe what you have planned is far better. And she surrenders her son. And so, moms, I would just love to know sometimes in your life where you had to surrender, kind of break out and say, okay, God, I give you control over my children or the situation.
It's like for me, my oldest, he's just completed his first year in college. And I remember coming back home from dropping him off, and all I did was sit on the bed, and I just cried. And I cried because it's like, that's my baby, and he's leaving me, and I have to trust that he's going to be okay. I have to trust that everything that I taught him, he's going to carry with him, and then I have to understand that God is in control. You know, and that's one thing for moms. We want to be in control of everything, you know, and that's with my oldest son with college. With my middle son, it's with football, you know, and it's like here, he's going out there and somebody hits him, and I want to go out there and I want to hit them like, what you doing hitting my son? You know, there's not enough padding to protect all that. And it's like, completely, you know, and I'm just like, I'm so ready to go out there, and you're just like holding your breath like, and then I'm waiting for him to give me a signal to let me know he's okay. And he just goes and runs back out there, you know, but then I have to trust that he's, you know, that God has him. I have to trust him in that moment. And then with my little guy, with his anxiety, like anxiety shows up not in just a nervous way. It shows up in so many different ways, and people don't understand it, especially when it comes from little people that are carrying these heavy emotions. And there's many times where I'm like holding my breath, like, am I going to get that call from the school? Am I going to get that text message? You know, it's like, I just want the day to be okay. I just want to be able to breathe. And so I pray and I pray and I pray, and then I just say, God, it's in your hands. And I trust it. And I go on, and I love the days that I don't get the messages, and I praise those days, and then those other days, I just pray some more. It's a constant thing. There's, as parents, as mothers especially, we're always surrendering. It doesn't stop.
Yeah. And I think it's even harder for you, Eva, because you're doing it all by yourself.
Oh,
You're not coming home and to somebody else and say, can you take care of this? Like, you are truly trying to do this on your own as a single mom.
Totally.
And that's really hard. I remember when I was a single mom it wasn't a really long time, but some days I was just happy. I got my sandwiches made, their lunch was made, and they had some dinner. Maybe it was mac and cheese, but it was something. And they went to bed, and everything was, you know, not falling apart around.
Right.
So you really have a lot going on when you're doing that by yourself. It's tough, really tough.
I think for me, the letting go of that control, it's so hard because you love them so much. And they took my tissues away from last service.
I got your back,
Aaron.
I got your back.
But it's true, you love these people so much that you want whatever the situation. In my situation, it was health issues for 2 of my kids, and I just wanted it to go away. And you look and you search and you try this and you do that, and you want to fix it. You want to fix it, and then you're like, okay, God, lead me. And it's an everyday process. And it might not be with an illness. There's so many things that people are going through with children, but that moment of saying, I can't do this without you.
Brings so much peace.
Yes.
I can really relate to that. Some of you know that my daughter Jillian, she had a really bad diagnosis at 8 years old, and it was it's a fatal diagnosis. And at that time, I had just become somebody who was beginning to trust Jesus. And I was like, so how does this work? There's medically no cure. And I truly believe that just going to him, and he guided us to some healing prayer, but also miracles, but also medical miracles, because it wasn't 100% healing. And so you're constantly watching your child struggle. You fear for her life. But the one thing that I think really I was determined about is like, I'm not going to be in the fetal position about this. Like, I am not going to live in worry and fear so that I can't even be a good mom for her. And for me, that comes from the Lord. Like, just knowing that he loves her truly more than me. And for my boys, they really struggled with some of their decisions. And it was hard to just know that I could not do anything to make them feel better about themselves. There was bullying, there was addictions, there was things like that. And there's nothing that I can do. And actually, I just started to pray for other people to come into their lives, because I knew they're not going to listen to me. But I sort of had this idea, this is what it would look like if God stepped in and answered my prayers. And he's done it completely differently and so much better. And I'm in such a better place. But it's a constant thing, like you said. Like, it has to be done every day, sometimes multiple times a day, to recognize, like, I only can draw my strength from the Lord. And as a result, Jillian is in a place where she has incredible strength, and she gets her strength from the Lord. And He has guided us to so many amazing things through her, and He provides her relief and guides us in those decisions. And for my sons, I know I believe the same thing. And my bonus children, I watch them now struggle with certain things in their lives, and I have to respect my position in their life. I don't have any control over them at all, for sure, in your bonus kids if you're in a blended family. But Jim and I can be together on our choices and how we look at it, but it's a struggle. It is really a struggle to let go of control completely and recognize God does. He probably has way better ideas than I do. And when I step back and I see who He puts in their lives and the great things He does and the healing that Jillian has experienced and the growth that my sons have had, it's amazing. But I think one of the harder things is just to recognize I have to trust God in this. And that's not easy to do sometimes too.
It is. It's easy to say it, right? Okay, I trust you, God, but when it comes down to fleshing that out in your daily life, because as a parent, you really do, you want to control and protect your child, right? Because it's your kid. You love them. So anything you can do to just keep them right here and be like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be safe, right? About a year ago, my family and I, we moved just from the other side of town, but we might have moved like countries away. My kids are at that age where it was just a tough move for them, and the idea of finding new friends and a new school, one's in middle school age, middle school is hard enough, right? But I can remember just the fears of just thinking through middle school and that my son would be walking into that, not knowing anyone, and how would he survive? How would he be brave, right? And you hope all the things you teach them that they'll get, but at the end of the day, I had no control. I have no control over the other kids, what the teachers are going to be like, will he fit in? And you just have to surrender it. And it's the weirdest thing because there is nothing I can do. No. All I can do is go, okay, God, this is yours. And He is yours. But what does that then mean for all of us? Some of us in here are parents, so we definitely go, yes, I've experienced that. Or you understand that parenthood, motherhood, surrendering. But what does that mean for the rest of us in here? I think God is always whispering to us to say, there's something that He wants you to surrender in your life. Maybe it isn't through a relationship. It could be through your spouse or your children. It could be maybe something with your job or your finances, or just the fact that you've wanted to control life. I think so many of us go around, our fists are just really clenched tight because we're trying to control every aspect. We're hoping, we're maneuvering because we want a good life and we're trying to make good decisions for ourselves, for our families, for those that are around us. But God's going, just trust me. Let it go. Let me be the one to surrender to Him. It can be our attitude, our pride, our thoughts. There's so many different ways I think God wants to intervene in our lives. And just, it's about giving Him our heart and starting there. But we resist it a lot of the times. Like, let's be honest. Even when it comes to our kids, we're kind of like, no, God, I got this, right? Like, I got it. It's totally cool. Because we think surrendering means that we're going to be just hands off and it's like, whatever, I'm disconnected now. And fine, just do whatever you want. It doesn't matter, God. But really, in actuality, surrendering is the complete opposite. It actually is being more engaged. We're more connected to Him. And it's a choice that we're having to make. And we see this with Hannah. It's such a beautiful story if you really want to dive into it, because we see it's a journey, that it wasn't just this one-time thing where she decided, okay, God, I guess I'm going to fulfill this vow and give Him back to you. But it was actually a journey from that. It continued on. And we pick up her story in 1 Samuel 2:19. Each year, his mother made him a little robe and took it to him when she went up with her husband to offer the annual sacrifice. So every year, Hannah and her family would continue to go to the tabernacle, to go worship, to pray. So every year, she would get to see Samuel. And it wasn't like, oh, hey, there's my kid. No, this was her boy, right? This was her heart. And she got to go see him. And not only that, but she brought him a gift. And it wasn't like this quick, like, we better stop at Target along the way because I forgot to get a gift. We've all been there, right? Where there's not much thought. This was all year long, I've been thinking about my boy. and I've been making him something. I picture that with every weave or whatever, the knitting, however she made that little robe, she was praying over her son. She was engaged in his life, even though it looked so different than she could have ever imagined, right? It wasn't the picture of what she begged God for all those years ago when she's like, God, I just want a child. She pictured raising him, I'm sure, and it's so different. But yet God was so good in it, and she got to continue to be part of the process. And I know for us moms that we've talked that it's a continual thing, that it's a daily thing, an hourly thing of this surrendering, really. So how do we do it then? Practically, I would love for you guys to share. How do we surrender?
With people. Yeah. And that is truly being connected to people who are like-minded, who will remind you that God loves your children, who will remind you to pray, who will remind you of truth. For me, I have to pray, I have to read the Bible, and then I have books. I'm a practical kind of person, so for me, ever since the kids were little, tell me the author's name again.
Stormy Omartian.
Stormy Omartian.
It's her book, not mine, but
anyway, right now I'm reading How to Pray for Your Adult Children, because mine are adult. But she has all kinds of books, how to pray for your young children and your toddlers and pray for your husband. But anyway, you need to practically do things. You do.
Yeah. I think, too, just remembering that you're not just praying about surrendering, giving up control, but you're praying about your parenting and having the strength, I think, to be a parent. And you need community for that. You need other people to see how they're doing it. I think that we have to remember I need God to help remind me of the gifts of the Spirit, the fruit of the Spirit, and self-control is the last one. And I really value that text that comes in right before I'm about to lose it. And I need self-control because it's hard work being a parent and recognizing, too, we're not their friends when they're small. And we have to surrender that, too, because it's so much easier to just let them do whatever they want to do. But a 3-year-old is not ready to make a decision about whether a gerbil should be in the house or something like that. They can't have everything they want. And you have to surrender that need, that control, to be liked. Yeah. I know for my kids, it was so hard when I knew that they were looking at me with that look like, you are evil, but I would hold them to standards and so I need God to help me. I need people to help encourage me to do that who are like-minded, like you said, Liz.
And the reality is that surrendering is not pretty. We're talking about it, it is ugly. It is crying in a pillow, it is screaming, it's anger, it's all those things, but the release of it is what the peace is. For me, especially when it comes to my little guy, I found a Facebook group for parents with children with anxiety. And as I was reading that, because I was feeling so alone, and as I'm reading that, I'm seeing different examples of my son. And I'm like, oh, I'm not alone. That's my child. He's displaying those things. So I found a community just online that shows that I'm not alone. But then also I have friends who love to send me encouraging text messages and things of that nature. But it's a community thing. And then it's the ones that pray for you, that know it. And you have to be raw because sometimes you're not raw with your friends, so they don't know how to fully be present for you. Yeah. You have to be raw and you have to be in that moment to share, and then that way they can really help and uplift you and stuff like that. So it's definitely about who you surround yourself with and how God is in the center of it all.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, and so what does that mean then for all of us, right? You've heard us share today, and we've heard a little bit about Hannah's story. I think one of the key things is that surrendering is not just a once and done. It's not saying, okay, and you forget about it, right? Or you just let it go and it's some Elsa moment, okay? It's actually a daily choice that we surrender our hearts, because this is where it starts, is in our hearts. It's a daily choice to actively be present and participate in this with Christ, And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to step into a moment for that. I'm going to invite the band to come on out. And I would just ask that, what is God asking you to surrender? I know it can be scary because sometimes when we surrender, it means we don't have an answer for something. And we like to feel like we have control and that we know what's going to happen. So that's why we like to control every aspect. And if I want to control my kids, what's going on, But what is he asking you to surrender? Because here's the thing you got to know. When we trust him, I'm telling you, his plan is always way better than our plan. Always. It doesn't always make sense. It looks different. But he loves you and he is so for you. And if anything, if you're even unsure about that, I'd encourage you as we are going to take some time in the next few moments just to step into that to know he loves you. And to maybe open up your heart to him to experience that love, maybe for the first time. What is it that God is asking you to surrender? I'd invite for you guys to just pray with me in this next moment. God, I thank you that you are a God that we can trust with our whole lives, with our whole heart. And I just pray that in this next few minutes, God, that we would take a step closer to you and our hearts would connect with you. And that we'd hear your voice in the areas of our lives that maybe we've tried to control, the areas that we've wanted, the dreams that we've had, the questions, the things that maybe have not gone the way we've wanted it to go. God, I pray that we would give that to you. And we'd give it to you with all of our trust. And we'd engage with you, Jesus, and trust that you love us so much. I thank you, God, that you are a God who is always for us. We love you. In your name, amen.
You know, going with the theme of surrendering, it just makes me think about all the things that I need to surrender in my life. And one big thing that I need to surrender is that my husband and I just found out we're going to have a baby in November. And thank you. And I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So I have no idea what it takes to be a mom, and I don't even know how to prepare for that. And I need to just surrender that. Like, I just really made it a point in my mind to surrender my pregnancy, surrender all the preparation that I plan to do to be a mom, and just ultimately trust in him. He created motherhood. He knows what he's talking about. So I just really want to trust him in that process, and trust my Creator and know that he has wisdom for me, waiting for me when I need him, which will be all the time. So I just pray during this next song that we would all surrender our shortcomings, our weaknesses, all the areas of our lives where we just don't feel like we have enough, because God does. And so I pray that we would surrender everything to the God who surrendered everything for us.
Search every hidden crevice, every shadowed corner, knowing my heart's intentions. You make me more like you. You make me more like you. Been holding my fist clenched tight, all empty praise on fading things. Now opening these hands wide. Oh, I need more of you. Oh, I need more of you. Surrendering, I give it all to you. And with soul with hope again. New mercy every morning, yielding my heart to your voice. I'm crying out for you. I'm crying out for you. Surrendering, I give it all to you. And with everything, God, I'm pursuing you. And with hands held high, I finally know I'm alive. I finally know I'm alive. I lean into your love, press into your heart. I'm drawing in close, I'm setting my eyes on you. I lean into your love, press into your heart. I'm drawing in close, I'm setting my eyes on you. I lean into your love, press into your heart. I'm drawing in close, setting my eyes on you. I lean into your love, press into your heart. I'm drawing in close, setting my eyes on you. Surrendering, I give it all to you. And with everything, God, I'm pursuing you. And with hands held high, I finally know I'm alive. I finally know I'm alive. I finally know I'm alive. I finally know I'm
We would just love for you to stand up, sing this next song with us.
You can have it all, Lord. Every part of my world. Take this life and breathe on this heart that is now yours. Yes, you can have it all, Lord. Every part of my world. Take this life and breathe on this heart that is now yours. Oh, the joy I found surrendering my crowns at the feet of the King, who surrendered everything. And oh, the peace that comes when I'm broken and undone. this heart that is now yours. No greater call than giving you my all. I lay it all down. I lay it all down. There is no greater love, no higher name above. I lay it all down. I lay it all down. There is no greater call than giving you my all. I lay it all down. I lay it all down. There is no greater love, no higher name above. I lay it all down. I lay it all down. Oh, we lay it all down at the feet of Jesus. You can have it all, Lord. Every part of my world. Take this life and breathe on this heart that is now yours. 'Cause you can have it all, Lord. Every part of my world. Take this life and breathe on this heart that is now yours. You can have it all, Lord. Every part of my world. Take this life and breathe on this heart that is now yours.
You can stay standing. Just give me about 30 seconds. First of all, that was unbelievably beautiful, everybody up here. And then thank the women for speaking, the ladies backstage for sharing. Just an unbelievable thing. Just to be able to be vulnerable and to share, and the application of that is so challenging. As I was standing right over here, and I was singing that last chorus, "You can have it all, Lord," everything, every part of my world. And I thought, that is so challenging. Because again, this is a topic that applies across the board when God calls us to surrender just every aspect of our lives, to give our very life. I already know that there are people all through this room, and by the way, the 100 people that are in overflow, thank you, by the way, for being willing to sit in overflow. Regardless of whether you're there or in this room or even listening online, God challenges us to surrender so many different areas of our lives. And again, just today's example, I can't imagine a better example than the faithfulness of Hannah giving up, which is one of the most challenging and most faithful acts in the Bible. And so I just want to just say that today, just a couple random thoughts, and I'll let you go. Number one, I do believe that today gave us who are not moms, even though I'm close, to my wife, just to get a better understanding of what moms always have to wrestle with, and it just gives us a greater appreciation to honor them even more today. Also, just a random thought that hit me, and that is the motherly instinct is a character of God. Right, that God has, he's called the Father and he has male aspects, but God the Father is also a God who displays motherly instincts. Jesus himself, God the Father, displays these and talks about them. And so whenever you see a mom act out their God-given instinct and giftedness, it is nothing more than a direct reflection of God's character being played out, which is such a privilege, right, for moms to hold that and to act that out. It really is. And then also, just again, it's just another great reminder for us, and it's a challenge. I hope you take it with you. I want to remind you not only to be back here this Wednesday, hopefully you'll try our midweek, but for a lot of you, you're brand new, or maybe you're visiting for the first time in a long time, maybe since Easter. I want to remind you that next Sunday, we're launching into a brand new series, and this series is called Into the Wild. And Into the Wild means simply this, that God calls us to a life of adventure and risk. And so whatever God calls, what are we willing to do to jump out and obey? And as we step out of our comfort zone, we're going to be exploring for the next 3 weeks what it means to follow God out of our comfort zone. It's a phenomenal series. We're super excited about it. So if I don't see you on Wednesday, I hope you come back next Sunday. So thank you so much for being here. God bless you, and happy Mother's Day.